In this video, we are going to be covering some hot NFT news, some up-and-coming mints that are just blowing up, as well as some major updates when it comes to the mainstream adoption of NFTs. First thing we got to do is talk about the market sentiment. So as you know, the Ethereum merge is happening within one day. By the time you see this and we see Ethereum, kind of at that 1.7 range, what will happen to Ethereum after the merge? Well, it's anybody's guess from here, but a lot of people say, people are buying the rumors and they're going to sell the news. So you definitely want to be mindful of whatever it is that you do and make sure you do the proper research. I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or whether it's going to go up or down. Honestly, it's just my guess. So I'm going to leave it to you to make your own decisions. But right now we're at that 1.7K range. Personally, for me, I think it will probably go down, but hey, not financial advice. When we're coming to NFTs, the volume on NFTs actually has been pretty low. When it comes to OpenSea monthly volume, it's been on the downtrend over the past few months. It's been a pretty hard downtrend as well when it comes to, how much volume is moving in Ethereum. OpenSea is barely making any monthly fees compared to whatever they were making during the last bull run, especially January, February. But when we're looking at the overall traders over time, yeah, it's increasing, but it's important to look at the active monthly traders. And you can kind of see the space actually kind of on a downward trend, right? So there's definitely more people leaving the space than entering the space. Do I believe that will change in the future? Possibly, but I personally think we're going to be on a downtrend for quite some time. That's kind of bad news for, all the blue chip projects, top NFT projects, because the floor price is going to continuously drop. Doodles, Moonbirds, Azuki, Digidaiku, CloneX, you name it. They all kind of been on that downward trend for the most part. Yeah, there's little pumps here and there, but overall the trajectory has been downward, which makes sense because if more people are leaving the NFT space than there are coming in, well, there's less attention. Some people might be like, okay, well, if I don't want to be in the NFT space, let me sell my Azuki, let me sell my Clone X, whatever the case is, and then take my money and just do something else with it. And I totally understand that sentiment if they don't believe in, let's say, the short-term future of NFTs, and they can always buy back in, right? So if you're someone looking to buy into a blue chip project, yes, it's at a discount compared to, let's say, all-time highs, but you have to also understand that you take that risk where it can continuously go down and down and down, and you kind of have to bet on, the market reviving someday, somehow, right? Now, what will actually get NFTs into the mainstream? Well, there may be a number of factors, but you have to understand that there are a lot of companies moving into the space, and I'm talking about real deal public companies. So first piece of news that we have for you today is that Polygon recently just announced a program with Starbucks called Starbucks Odyssey. And basically, it's an extension of their rewards program that they already have. So how the reward works is you have a card. Every time you spend the card, you get points and things like that. Then you can get exclusive benefits with those perks. Now, what they're doing is they're extending it into blockchain and adding Polygon into this to enable digital ownership, right? And because it's on Polygon, the gas fee is going to be very low compared to just on Ethereum. On September 12th, which has already happened, people can join a waitlist to be the first ones to be able to potentially try this product. How the Starbucks Odyssey program works based on their website is that you are going to access your Starbucks rewards like you normally do. You just log in and then you can engage in Starbucks Odyssey journeys, basically a series of activities where you play some games, take some challenges. It's not really clear what these games and challenges are, but the NFT space, you just give you a riddle and you have to solve it and you get some points, right? So you go through a journey, some kind of experience, and then you get a stamp, which is going to come in the form of an NFT. And with this stamp NFT, you can sell it on the marketplace, right? So which is where the blockchain idea comes in. And so these points, you can actually, instead of just having them as points and using it for coffee, you can actually sell it for money. But the cool thing here is that they don't really need you to have a crypto wallet or cryptocurrency. It just kind of works in their reward program, and you don't even know you're interacting with blockchain, honestly. So I would say it's probably going to be as simple as having a Fortnite skin or a skin in any game, whether it's Valorant, Dota. So with these stamps, they are going to be able to unlock certain features and benefits, special access. From my understanding, I think it's going to be special merchandise because a lot of people collect the mugs. Even for me, I have this is a Starbucks cup right here. Maybe special things on the menu, maybe special events that you can go to if you have the NFTs, or maybe if you have a bunch of NFTs, you get something. So it's not really clear exactly what the rewards are, and you definitely can just make it up as you go, as long as you get people to buy in the idea of collecting these stamps. I call it stamps because, they're not really calling it an NFT. They're just saying hey, these are digital collectibles. And I think that's really the way to get the Web 2 more adopted into Web 3 by not even introducing Web 3 and NFTs, but just introducing in a way where it's just a digital asset that you can sell on the marketplace, right? And not only Starbucks is doing this strategy, but also Reddit is also doing it as well. So if you didn't know already, essentially you're able to purchase the avatars for a cheaper price, and you don't even know you're interacting with a blockchain. You're actually just buying a digital good on Reddit website, and they just call it a digital avatar, right? They don't even call it an NFT. So these NFTs are going to be on Polygon. Polygon, once again, just getting into these B2B deals with these enterprise companies. So they purchase these avatars, they can use it to represent themselves. They also empower artists because they get different communities to create the art for these things. And they're also going to create a new storefront where you can buy and sell these things, so you don't have to do it on OpenSea, but it just happens all on their platform. And I'm guessing you could probably sell it on OpenSea if you want, but if it's easier to sell on Reddit and there's a market for that and demand there, then why would you need to leave, right? What would these avatars do? I'm not really clear on that, but I suppose they can make benefits on the way. I think in the beginning, people will just buy these things and use it as their PFP on Reddit and then just like kind of rock it, and that's the value of it. It's like a skin, right? But maybe there's going to be certain access to certain groups, maybe certain communities will have special NFTs, so we'll have to see what they decide to do. And the cool thing is that each of these NFTs are purchasable using fiat, so I'm guessing you can use a credit card or something like that to purchase it, so you don't need Ethereum or Polygon. And I think that's really the way to go, right? Like personally for me, I've used Ethereum before for certain NFTs that I got into, and it's like such a pain to use Polygon to bridge Ethereum to the Polygon side, and it's actually quite painful, even someone who's like more crypto native. So you bet like the average Web 2 person is not going to go through that pain. So by allowing them to purchase it with fiat, that's going to make it a lot smoother for the space to move forward. And by the way, if you didn't know already, we have officially started the Parallax Podcast audio form. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and soon to be Amazon. So if you ever want to check out our podcast and listen to that in audio form and not on the YouTube side, make sure to check the links in the description where we have all the links to our podcast platforms. And if you do, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, because the reviews really do help when it comes to the algorithm and getting us more exposure. So if you are a believer in the Parallax, make sure to check out our podcast in audio format and leave a 5-star review. Now, in other news, Pumping Parrots, which we did talk about yesterday, and you kind of got my sentiment on that, but Rug Poll Finder, which is a Twitter page that is dedicated to finding these rugs, right, and exposing people. I don't see that as my job, so I'll leave it to the pros, but pretty much they label it as a rug, which kind of makes sense because it literally, the description here is kind of like a Ponzi scheme where at the end it's like somebody has to hold the bag, right? Like I said yesterday, like if the space really wants to move forward, we got to stay away from these kind of projects where there's literally no value except giving the project creators money and gambling your money, right? But if we support projects that are actually trying to do something for the long term, I think it's going to be a lot more healthier for the space. Now, speaking of long term, if you have a Clone X and you recently minted some items for the collection, you have to understand that the foraging is closing within a couple days from now, so it's September 14th, which is coming up real soon. You have to go through this process in order to redeem your physical good, right? And so, something interesting that I was thinking about as I was looking at this trailer was that you have this 3D model of a Clone X like hitting the hammer, they're like foraging, making physical goods. And I feel like the genius part of Clone X is that because they have these 3D avatars that are pretty good, and depending on who the 3D designer is, it can look really good. For any kind of teaser, advertisement, or getting the creator community more involved in creating stuff within the Clone X ecosystem, because there are these 3D files that exist, normal person with a laptop in like Unity or like Blender or whatever can make something pretty cool. And that just like unlocks a whole world of creativity that wasn't really possible before. So, but I can imagine like maybe 2, 5, 10 years from now that this can be a huge thing where people are just going to use their Clone X and like build IP on top of it, because it's just so easy to do, right? Not that it's easy to use Blender and stuff, but like relatively easy where you don't have to build your own IP and stuff. You can just take a 3D model and then like everybody will watch it because it's a Clone X. I could definitely see like different businesses using a Clone X as their avatar, and just like every time they drop a teaser for something, you can have like an education company and have a Clone X be the mascot of it. They're just like studying books, and you have these crazy graphics to promote whatever it is you're selling. Whether it's Clone X or any other 3D avatar, they kind of can do that, right? Perfect example would be like Vega Genesis, who he's been dropping these music videos, and yeah, dude, like they're actually pretty good if you want to check it out. He recently came out with another one. I mean, we have an interview with him coming up, so you're gonna definitely learn his story, but like I can definitely see more and more people jumping into this trend. Maybe trend's not the right word, you can even call it a movement where you can use 3D avatars to actually portray yourself. It's the same as like VTubing, for example, except people can build an ecosystem that's constantly growing. So as Artifact becomes larger, which it most likely will, it's my bet, then you kind of ride on that trend, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And another thought is like, let's say you own a Clone X, like if you started, let's say, your own clothing line and you had a Clone X, you can even use your Clone X model and to rock your clothes. And it's kind of like, that's interesting. Like a Clone X wearing your own indie clothing line kind of gives it more attention and a boost, right? And also, I think one thing that they've been doing really well as a company is, and I'm not trying to shill Clone X, these are just like business lessons I'm learning. And I bought one because I want to learn and feel what it's like to be part of the ecosystem. Honestly, that's really the main reason I bought one. A lot of people who have Clone X are using these Snapchat filters, which just allows a person to easily, use a Snapchat filter, use a Clone X and talk, and then the eyes and the face and everything moves with you. That's genius because it empowers the average person to just like turn on their phone, put the filter on, and bam, you're talking at your Clone X. Making it as frictionless as possible is actually a really good thing, right? And so if you look at the landscape of NFTs, when it comes to that creator side, Artifact is definitely winning, like hands down. It's pretty much no competition. I'm curious to see what the other blue chip communities do in the future to empower their community, whether it's like a Doodles, Moonbirds, Bored Ape, like what's going to be next for them and how they're going to empower their creators. Because I feel like for these NFTs, your biggest champions and the ones that are going to really spread the word are your biggest advocates. And so the ones that do the best job in building that community community and getting them to want to pretty much like actively promote your brand for free because somehow they benefit in some way, whether it's status or financially. That's going to be the key moving forward for these kind of projects, right? And if nobody talks about your project, nobody supports you, then it's kind of like, you know, then why would anyone want to buy it, right? And so with that said, that is everything we got to cover for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next one.